I have some fresh blueberries just picked this morning, some ripe bananas, and a request from my brother and my dad to either make blueberry muffins or banana bread. So I'm combining the two, and we are going to try blueberry banana bread muffins. So let's get started. Okay, so I preheated the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and the recipe I'm kind of using is Spend with Pennies. It's just a blueberry banana muffin, and I went out this morning. It was so beautiful outside. It was cool and crisp, and it's been so hot lately. So it was just nice to be able to go outside where it was cool. It rained a little bit last night. I was able to pick some blueberries from my parents' blueberry bush right outside. It was just a gorgeous morning. The blueberries were so nice right now. They're good and sweet. It's really hard to get all the blueberries before the birds start getting it. So the recipe that I'm using doesn't call for freshly milled flour, but I have decided to use freshly milled flour because I really like that taste and that heartiness that freshly milled flour gives things like banana breads and muffins and things like that. So for these blueberry banana bread muffins, we are going to be using some soft white wheat. Now it's not in grams, so it does make it a little bit more challenging when you're actually milling the flour because you can't weigh out how much you need. So it does call for 1.5 grams of flour. I'm going to mill about half of that, so about 3/4, and then I'm gonna see what that gives me, and then I'll top the rest off with all-purpose flour just so I don't have to mill anymore. I did go ahead and get my muffin pan lined with just some cupcake liners. It just makes it easier pulling them out, in my opinion. You can spray it and butter it. I don't really find it's an issue, so just lined them. So first things first, you do want to coat with about a tablespoon of all-purpose flour. You want to coat your blueberries and then set it aside. And the reason why you're doing this is you want to give them a nice coating so that they will not just sink to the bottom of your muffins. I actually think this is going to be fine. So you can see how they're just getting nice and coated. And this will just, like I said, help so they don't just sink. They'll actually, when you take a bite of your muffin, there will be blueberries all throughout. Okay, just gonna set these to the side. Okay, so the next thing I wanna do is do my liquid ingredients, because the last thing I wanna do is actually my flour or my dry ingredients. And you need about 1 cup of bananas, which is about 3. So I'm just eyeballing this and using 3 bananas, 3 ripe bananas actually. And I'm just going to mash these up quickly. 1/2 cup of sugar. And then we need 1/2 cup of butter. And honestly, this is why I prefer working with grams, because this is kind of an eyeballing situation. So this whole thing is 1 cup. So if I want half, I guess I need to go right in the middle of it. When you cook with grams, it's just exact, and I prefer it. Okay, I'm gonna melt this. And I like to melt my butter in 30-second increments, just so I don't overly boil it. So I'll check it in 30 seconds, and then if we need to do more, which we probably will, we will do it. So it actually only took 30 seconds for this butter to pretty much melt. There's a couple pieces in it, but that'll melt if you just kind of stir it a little bit and let that heat go ahead and melt the rest of it. I mean, you can see it's already much, much smaller. So I'm just gonna let this cool just for a second before I add it into the bananas and the sugar. And go ahead and add my egg and vanilla. I wanted to pre-whisk my egg. Teaspoon of vanilla. I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up, and then I'm going to add my butter very, very slowly. I do not want the heat from the butter to actually curdle the eggs or cook the eggs. So I'm just going to temper this just a little bit and maybe put a couple spoonfuls in there just to warm things up a little bit. The last thing you want is scrambled eggs in your muffins. Well, maybe not. I've had muffins that had scrambled eggs in them. When we did the McGriddle, the McDonald's McGriddle muffin, I think I can pour the rest of this in there. Okay, I'm going to set my liquid ingredients to the side, and let's get the dry ingredients prepared. Okay, we need 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, like I said, I'm going to freshly mill a little under a cup of my wheat berries. Now I know that there are people out there who do not care for bananas, so I will make sure to link my family's favorite blueberry muffin recipe that does not include bananas. Okay, so we need 1.5 cups of flour. So I'm just going to see how much this made. 1/2 cup. I think we're gonna be pretty close. So 1 cup. Okay, so I think we're gonna need just a couple spoonfuls of all-purpose flour. Now, the reason I don't go ahead and mill more is honestly just for ease. I feel like just adding a couple tablespoons of regular flour is not that big of a deal. So instead of going through the whole milling process again, I just add a little bit if needed. So now it says you want to add your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients. Oops, I could take my fork out, couldn't I? And I do like to do this slowly. I feel like when you add flour slowly, I feel like it helps with it clumping together a lot more. Like I just think it is a lot easier to combine that way. I know it takes a minute more, but it's just something I like. I had a recipe for black cocoa cookies and you had to add the flour slowly, and I just felt like it made such a big difference. So I do try to do that when I have the time. I always make such a mess. I am a messy cook. That is definitely something I've tried to work on, but it's almost like when I try not to be messy, I'm worse. Leave a comment if you're like that. I hope I'm not alone. All right, let's get the rest of this added. And it says you don't want to overmix, so I am definitely just going to get this barely in, and then we're gonna fold in the blueberries. I'm gonna stop here. There's a little bit more mixing that needs to happen, but I think that'll naturally occur when I'm folding in the blueberries. Get these folding. And when I fold stuff, I literally just kind of do circles like this. Okay, and I like to use an ice cream scoop to do this next part, but I'm just going to scoop in some of the dough or some of the mixture. And it says it's going to make 8 or 10. We'll just play it by ear. If I need to put water in one of the other compartments, I will. But I feel like this is a lot of batter. I guess it kind of looked like more than it actually was. And I don't think we'll have enough for one more. So I'm gonna just clean this up a little bit. Make sure these are good and mixed in there. I just use my finger. You could use a spoon. it's just what I do. And then some that don't look as pretty, I'm gonna take a couple blueberries and put on the top, just so they all kind of look like they had some good blueberries in them. Put a little bit of water in here. And into the oven they go for 18 to 20 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. Came out clean, perfect. I'm gonna pull these out and be really careful because that's boiling water. Okay, these smell delicious. The whole house smells so amazing. So I'm gonna let these cool for just a minute in the pan and then I'll get them on a cooling rack. So what I'm about to say might sound a little extreme, but these are honestly some of the best blueberry muffins I think I've ever had. I truly think this recipe is bakery quality, and I'm not the only one who thought this. My mom said it was the best blueberry muffins she had ever had too. They literally did not last 24 hours. They're incredibly moist, packed with fresh blueberry flavor, and perfectly sweet without being overly sugary. I genuinely cannot recommend this recipe enough. I'll link it below and let you know what I did differently with the freshly milled flour I used. If you love blueberries and bananas, print this recipe, give it a try. I do not think you'll regret it. So until next time, thanks. Bye. So good.